Welcome back to another episode of the Sports Den podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Hooker, and this episode will be week 0 of college football. College football is back. So now, from 8 o'clock, when you wake up at 8 o'clock, you know your day consists of college football. So you have to make your breakfast so you have energy throughout the whole day. Because breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Whether you're cooking it or running the Chick-fil-A, but regardless, you need the breakfast. So now you're gonna wake up, then after you eat your breakfast, you're gonna cut on College Game Day, where you see Reese Davis, Kirk Herbstreit, Desmond Howard, the all-time favorite Lee Corso, and the new kid on the block, Pat McAfee. So you're gonna see all those faces for 3 hours, from 9 to 12, and now when after the show's over, you're gonna head into football. You're gonna hit college football, where it's the most purest thing in sports. It's the most purest thing in sports because of the high stakes, the high emotions, and the feel good stories. There's nothing topping college football in those 3 aspects. And I can guarantee you that. So, before we get into it any further, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also share the video. Come join the den. You can hear me or watch me. You can watch me on TikTok and YouTube, and you can listen to me on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, all those sites. But let's get straight into it. So the slate of the games, the first game is Navy and Notre Dame. I think that Navy and Notre Dame will be a close game in the first half because Navy always plays Notre Dame very close, as they did last year, 35-32 victory for the Fighting Irish. But I think that Navy does a very good job making things hard for the Fighting Irish in the first half with the new offensive coordinator, with the new quarterback. I think that the second half, you will see the change coming, the turning over a new leaf for Marcus Freeman and the Fighting Irish. I think that the Fighting Irish will prevail in the second half and win by double digits in Ireland. And then the next game you have is Jacksonville State versus UTEP. I think that Jacksonville State wins that game because Jacksonville State has everything going for them. Moving up from the FCS to the FBS. Moving conferences. Having your first FBS game televised nationally so that everyone can watch you. I think that the Gamecocks will pull it out just based off the hype factor of the game and also it being in at home. And then the next game you have is New Mexico State at UMass. New Mexico State versus UMass. I think that New Mexico State prevails because both teams struggled last year. I think that whichever team wins will take a step foot in the right direction. And I think that team will be New Mexico State because they're at home. I think that the crowd plays a part into the first game as always. So I think that New Mexico State will win. And I think that the Aggies will have that step in the right direction. And the next game will be San Diego State versus Ohio. Both teams are very, very, very solid. I think that the Aztecs will do what they do best, and that's ground and pound. I think that the Aztecs will waste time of possession. And I think that the Aztecs will do a phenomenal job of keeping the ball away from the Ohio offense, wasting time. And I think that San Diego State will prevail. And I think that the next game will probably be one of the best games of the day, and that is Vanderbilt versus Hawaii. I think that Vanderbilt has a chance to show their new and improved selves once again, being year 2 in the Coach Lay's era. And I think that the Commodores will do what they do best. That's just being technical sound, being having that relentless effort, time and time again. I think that will win them this game in week 0. The next game will be USC at San Jose State. I think that San Jose State doesn't stand a chance. I think that USC wins big. I just want to see what USC has up their sleeves this year, and they have a good chance of showing what they're capable of, in this first game. And I think that the next game, with it being Florida International and Louisiana Tech, I think that Louisiana Tech defense will be a little too much for the Panthers. They won't move the ball how they want to. And I think that Louisiana Tech will win this game by double digits as well. And I think that the week 0 games, I think all the home teams will win. I think that all the home teams won't have a problem of winning. I think it'll be a fight at first, but I think that the home teams will prevail in the end. But here could be some overreactions at the week 0. The first thing I'm going to bring up is Vanderbilt. After this game, you'll probably hear some Vanderbilt's going to a bowl game this year. They have a chance with AJ Swan being the quarterback, having a 5-1 touchdown interception ratio. But we also have to look at their schedule. The first 4 games are winnable. Going after this game, they play Alabama A&M. And the week after that, they travel to Wake Forest. And then week 4, they go to UNLV. But the 2 games that are winnable to me for the Commodores in SEC play is going to be Missouri, which go hand in hand with also Florida. I think that Florida is still going through their rebuilding process. I think that Florida, even though it's in Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, I think that the Commodores have a chance of upsetting the Gators in their home stadium. But their schedule's tough. It's tough. But I think that Commodore fans do have something to cheer for this year. I just want to see them bring that attitude and effort each game, because if they do so, they'll catch someone slipping in SEC play so that they can prevail and go to a bowl game. The next team is going to be Notre Dame. Hear me out. What we're going to hear is Notre Dame is ready to be in the college football playoff talk. I don't think they're ready just yet, because first, they don't control their own destiny because they're not in the conference. So they need help from others in other conferences. 2, they have a new offensive coordinator, new quarterback. So I think that's going to take a little bit of time, but having a veteran quarterback step into that role, like Sam Hartman, being an all-time ACC passing touchdowns leader, I think that will play a part into Notre Dame getting that talk, getting back to what they're known, which is a nationally known / brand of football that the whole USA knows. And I think that their schedule is one of the toughest out. With them not being in the conference, I think that they play one of the hardest schedules. Having Ohio State at home, do not sleep on Duke. Duke could upset the Fighting Irish, especially them having the home game and Riley Leonard at quarterback. I think that Notre Dame doesn't need to take the Blue Devils lightly. Then you have USC at home, which is a plus. But at the same time, USC can get in trouble, especially on the defensive end, having so many weapons that Caleb Williams has. I think that that's another team that could give Defiant Irish some trouble. And then another team is going it's the Clemson Tigers. They have to travel to Death Valley and face the Clemson Tigers. I think that would be a tough game for them. And I think that they would have to do things a little differently to get that win because Clemson will be physical. They will try to impose their will against the Fighting Irish. I think that Marcus Freeman will have his troops ready, but it'll be a different environment in Death Valley for sure. But last but not least, the USC Trojans. What we'll probably hear after week 0 is that they're ready to win the Pac-12 and they're ready to make the playoff. Unlike Notre Dame, they do control their own destiny. But their defense. Georgia transfer Bear Alexander said that their defense isn't far off from Georgia's. But Georgia has been historically great the past 2 seasons. And USC's defense has been mid, as you might say. So, what I want to see is that defense to be dominant, making sure tackles, making sure things won't get thrown over their head. They won't have receivers running past their corners or having running backs run through tacklers. And then Brendan Rice, wide receiver 1 season. I want to see what he does because a former Blitnikoff winner couldn't get 1,000 yards in the USC system, and Jordan Addison, who had Kenny Pickett at quarterback and played for the Pittsburgh Panthers. No disrespect to the Pittsburgh fans, and no disrespect to Kenny Pickett. Both are great, but when you go to upgrade to Southern California, to Lincoln Riley, to Caleb Williams, I expect them to have over 1,200 yards. But he only have 875. Like, come on, that's different. But we'll see how things go. And also their schedule. First half of the schedule is a coast. It's a breeze. But that later half of the schedule, you go to Notre Dame. You have Utah coming home. Then have an easy week with California. Then you have Washington, who could put up as many points as you, who has the better defense. Also traveling to Eugene to face Bo Nix and Dan Lanning. I think that could cause them some trouble as well. And then having the rivalry game. It doesn't matter what the record is for the rivalry game. It's 50-50. I think that those last 5 games, 5 out of 6 games, will be tough for the Trojans. But if the Trojans do what they need to do, they could be back in the playoffs. They could be in the playoffs again. They could put the Pac-12 back into the playoffs. But it'll be tough. But regardless, college football is back. From 8 o'clock when you wake up to all the way to 12 o'clock at night, you will have college football being played on your screen. There's no better feeling. Waking up, going to get that breakfast, or go having that run to Chick-fil-A, and then sparking up the grill. Maybe put on some ribs. Maybe put on some hamburgers and hot dogs. Having the sides, or even calling up American Deli or your favorite wing spot. Be like, hey, we need this amount of wings, and you know you're gonna eat that throughout the game, or even some pizza. But regardless, college football is back, and what a time to be alive. And I'm your host, Jonathan Hooker, signing out. Peace.